a plane, there are 4 planes. 2 space is playing the role of a dimension, like each head is having a pair of eyes. And step ahead, we have to reach a 5 space, Lord Shiva's space, a space in which there are 5 dimensions parallel with 5 heads, and each head is having 3 eyes. That is the solid dimensions. That is the dimensional frame is to be of 5 solids. And step ahead, Lord Vishnu's space, 6 space, where there are to be 6 dimensions, and each dimension is to be creative. That is a 4 space itself. It is in this background that we have to have approach which shall be parallel with the way intelligence field is created by a mind. So once we are putting ourselves within a room and taking as if the whole universe is just 3 space, then we are unnecessarily conditioning ourselves. Let us come out of a room, let us come out of a cube, let us be in the open space and see that there is a space which was not confined within the cube, within a room. This space is not a 3 space. So we have to enter upon this exercise whereby we have to dissolve the mental state conditioning, and we have to free ourselves from these limitations, and we have to see that space outside is not a 3 space, it is a 1 dimension more. And then we should not be restricted that this space is only up till a 4 space. Come out of that, see there will be 5 space lively, and still don't get restricted. Come out of that and see the sun is shining, sun is there, it is a 6 space. It is even going beyond our comprehension of a space. This is how we have to have this mental states dissolution. It is called meditation. One has to approach the Vedic systems the Vedic way. One has to approach the Ganita Sutras the Ganita Sutras way. And the Ganita Sutras way is to approach it by techniques of meditation. Let us be true to ourselves and let us be parallel with the nature. And once we will be parallel with the nature, we will be parallel with the higher dimensional reality base of Vedic Ganita Sutras mathematics. Thank you. I am open for the questions.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice lecture. Now we are having questions.
Yes, please.
The first question is from Vityojay Mahato.
Ji.
Is it possible to draw 4 dimension or 9 dimension in pen and paper?
Yes, these are, I am there. I'm not 3-dimensional. Solid 3-dimension, in 3-dimensional space, solid gets restricted. It can't be in a dynamic state. I am in a dynamic state. So Earth is not going to be having a revolutions around the sun. Sun is say, even if you say center. So center of a cube is not a 3-space point. It is not a point like any other point of the volume. Center of a point is not a 3-dimensional point. Center of a point is just having one feature like a volume, but it has additional values, it has additional features. If we do not remain conscious of those, then and only then we can say that it is a 3-space point. But it is not a 3-space point because it is uniquely placed. It is equidistant from all the corner points, and no other point is like that, and it is a synthesis point. Here are the 8 subcubes synthesized which make a cube. Looking at a cube as unsynthetic setup is not a reality. I can give further example. The electrons are these 3 space bodies. Nucleus, is it a 3 space? Why we are having valencies more than 3? There are a large number of questions. Why we are having mathematical problems? Why we say, we teach, we are the teachers of mathematics. We teach everywhere continuous function is nowhere derivable. Why? Have a fresh look at the definition of a continuity, have a fresh look at the definition of derivability, and then reach at why this problem is with us since the day we defined, and still we couldn't solve it, and still we couldn't say why there is a problem. Where is a problem in our hypothesis? Where is a problem in our definitions that we cannot resolve and be parallel with it as to why everywhere continuous function is nowhere derivable? Why we can't reach at? Why it is still 100 years old, alive mathematical problem with us, and we are living with it, and still we are teaching. We teach, give an illustration. Here is a function which is continuous but not derivable. But we don't give explanation, we skip over. We have not solved this problem. This problem is haunting us, and it is haunting us only as when we say that derivability a raised to power n will give us n into b raised to power n minus 1. But the boundaries 2n have interval, there are 2 endpoints. Have a square, it has 4 boundary lines. Go in a room, it has 4 walls, floor and surface. Go ahead, it will be 8. So 13th Ganita Sutra is Sopan Antyam Dvayam Antyam. The end points are 2. End point is not 1. We can't go on progressing infinitely. And if we say restricted, make an interval, and then we say this infinity is equal to that infinity, we don't want to solve it. So infinite points make a line a single unit. So in fact we are dealing with infinities, but unconsciously or intentionally ignoring that when we say unit length, in fact we are dealing with infinite points, but we don't want to enter into it. So we are unconscious, we are not sensitive to these things. So this reality is not a 3-space reality. I am not a 3-space. Any solid cannot move in a 3-space because the 3 dimensions of a solid will get tagged and fixed and interlocked with the 3 dimensions. So it will go in static state. It will remain in dynamic state only if the 4th dimension is available. As we have, so that our head should not fall down, we have taken time as a 4th dimension. We have taken ether as another sort of a content, so that we should be in a position to say that the electrons matter and the nucleus matter and the further matters are nothing but the one and the same, because we want to ignore it. If we are alive, we are sensitive, we see this space is not a 3-space, but we have conditioned it, we have accepted it, we have made it our mental condition. This is all what I have to say.
Hello.
Ji.
Good morning, sir.
Sir. Ji.
Yes, sir. One more question.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible? Time is there?
Who says time is not there? You see, in Visheshik Darshan, we say there are 9 types of contents, and in that call is also a content. Means time is also a content. Time is also a one form of a content. We have somehow made it philosophical, or we have made it theoretical, or saying it to be as we can't see it, as we can't judge it, as we can't barometer it, as we can't take it some parameters of it, so it is not a content. Time is a physical content like content. Whether direction is a content or not. Disha, whether you call it a disha. How it is a content or not. Can there be in a vacuum, there can be direction? Directions are always a setup of certain particle constituents or objects, whatever the names we give it, and put it. That makes a direction. That makes an orientation. It requires a geometric format. Geometric format requires a content. So content, geometric format and direction. So these are different phases and stages of the same content.
One more thing, sir.
Ji.
Sir, modern mathematics is talking about 3 dimension and extending it to n dimensions. And
Theoretical. I say you please solve simple problem. What is your definition of a continuity? Can we have a continuity with the discrete points? Go on, have bricks, go on attaching it, there must remain a space in between. Discretes cannot have a continuity.
Yes.
So once discretes can't have a continuity, and we have objects which become discrete, we have bodies which become discrete, so gaps bound to remain. What that gap is it not a space? It is not a content. It's a different type of a content altogether, that's all.
Because we take it as continuum hypothesis is used then.
Yes, we use it by imagining. You solve this, you relook at what is the difference between, what is the definition of derivability? Let us start with what we teach to the students. We say continuity is what? We say derivability is what? Then why everywhere continuous function is nowhere derivable? Why? There is some lack in the definition. And the lack is this. In derivability we require 2 functions. A raised power n and a raised power n minus 1. In continuity we require 1 function only. We just superimpose, we are jumping. And we are jumping because the discretes go smaller, and we go on giving infinitesimal, whatever it, then use the word limit and we jump over. This jumping is theoretically, practically, in applied areas, may be profitable in many situations. But when we are reaching at the reality, what reality is, then we are definitely away from the reality. We are not comprehending the reality.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Participant?
Yes, sir. Yes, hello. Hello.
Ji, sir.
I am audible?
Yes, sir. To me, yes.
Yes. Sir, you told that in the Sutra Ekadiken, you have assigned the value to 2 letters, A and E. Sir, what pattern you follow to assigning these values?
Which I said? I have picked up 2 letters from the Devanagari alphabet, Ref and Ka, just to demonstrate that single letter Ref is the entire subject domain of Treta Yuga, where it is Ram and Ravana. Entire Adi Valmiki Ramayana's situation is restricted with concentration upon this single letter Ref and the letter Ka for Krishna and the Kans for the Dwapar Yuga, just to indicate, just to illustrate that this code system is very powerful code system, and this code system is having simultaneous applications of the sound bits, then the number values, geometric formats, geometric bodies. and then makes it parallel with as to how the sound bits will transform into light, light will go into a Jyoti, and we will have a uniform, a Brahman domain. So we, in fact, the first perfect number 6 gets associated here with the sun, and the second perfect number 28 gets associated with the Brahm. And the system to be worked out is that first perfect number is unique, as here it is not only the addition of the proper prime factors 1, 2, 3, but it is the multiplication as well becomes equal. 1 plus 2 plus 3, 1 multiplied by 2 by 3 gets same value. This is the only perfect number which has this unique value, and it is because of this uniqueness that our addition and multiplication operations get superimposed. Those who are in the abstract algebra, they know that when we try to define a field, we take two operations. We say addition and a multiplication. We have separate identities for them. But when we are creating a field, we are prejudicing ourselves in favor of 0 instead of in favor of 1. Now, if we had a field otherwise, when preference is for 1 and not for E, then that system will get superimposed in such a way that 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 multiplied by 2 is also 4, and minus 2 multiplied by minus 2 is 4. So addition, multiplication, orientation all get superimposed. It is this superimposition which is coming in our way to decipher out the fourth dimension. The unit here in 4 space comes to be half. We are adapted with working with a unit 1. But when 1 is made into 2 parts, each part is also a 1. And we get biased, we start taking it to be 1 as a whole 1. But this 1 is a part 1. So, like that, on first principles, we have to re-examine our entire range of axioms and postulates. Only then we will understand how on the first year of the 20th century, at the end of the 19th century, Hilbert's gave us these problems. What all those problems are? All those problems are in fact the problems of the limitations of the linear functioning of a line, of a one. When we work with a surface, we take it as if it has only one face. When surface has two faces, it goes in a 3 space. When we have a line, one orientation only, it is a different thing. But when there is a pair of orientations in the same line superimposed, then it says, Gita says, one who sees death simultaneously happening with life, he sees the reality. Now what this actually means, when we are progressing, making a line, in fact we are creating the portion which stands uncovered and which stands covered. That is Chalna Kalna Bhyam. No, so these sutras are sutras of creations of creator Brahma, a 4 space which has 4 heads and each head is having 2 eyes. So Vedic systems are working with a space which has 4 dimensions and each dimension is a plane. At present we are working with a space, 3 space, which has 3 linear axes. So that model of 3 axes and that model of quadruple planes are definitely different, altogether different. Now approaching cube as a single cube is a one thing, approaching cube as 8 subcubes is an absolutely different thing. So the Vedic systems approach cube as 8 cubes synthesized as a 1 cube, and present system is approaching cube as a single, as a cube. So it is 1 raised to the power 3 and that is 2 raised to the power 3. So we are entering from different sequence altogether. Base is different, axioms are different, postulates are different, approach is different. Each one of us must be knowing the crow is having 2 eyes. No, crow is having only 1 eye, 1 eyeball is there, which is going on both sockets. That is why there is a skyline. So the system working as an interval means a 2 units line as an interval makes a different mathematics than a single unit line making a mathematics. So our head with 2 eyes is one of the 4 heads of the Creator. So human brain, human body, human system, when it is organized as Shad Chakras, there means the 6 formates. What are the external characteristics? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. These are what? These are the boundary components of interval are 2, boundary components of square, hypercube 2 are 4, boundary components of 3 are 6. So these are 6 space bodies whose external characteristics are making our skin and which is of 7 layers. So if we want to approach Vedic system of Ganita Sutras, then we have to approach them the axioms on which it is working, and then we ultimately come to the conclusions whether which of the axioms is powerful, which is redundant, which is not redundant, whether all are required or not required, how many are required to supplement the existing system or not. But this remains a fact that the present system is trying to approach this nature in terms of a cube or a 3 space or 3 linear axes, while Vedic system is approaching this universe as a universe of a 4 space of 4 dimensions, and each dimension is a plane. So first thing which is distinguishably to be comprehended is that 4th geometric dimension is a reality of comprehension of the Vedic systems. Vedic systems are working with geometric dimensions more than 3. Modern system is trying to wriggle out of the reality of a 4th dimension by inventing, comprehending, making theory or making some symbolic forms in the form of a time or in the time of an ether. Hilbert had conceived, he put up the problems, and all those problems were the problems of the limitations of the linear space, linear dimensions. Surface is as good a dimension as could be a line. Line is not a reality. Nobody can see the reality. So nobody can pick up the surface also into a hand. So what we can take in hand is only solids. So if we can approach solids in terms of lines, why we can't approach solid in terms of planes? So our system, the ancestors, the Vedic systems, they were as much realistic, they were as much intellectual, they were thinking about it, they were comprehending it, and they reached that particular system. So that is a beautiful system which we shall explore it further.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions?
Yes, I would like to ask a question from you.
Yes, please. Kindly.
Namaskar, sir.
Kindly,
I'm
kindly.
Monica from Hisar, Haryana. Your lecture was really, really fascinating.
Fine.
I haven't seen a higher dimension exploration in such a beautiful way earlier. It was really very interesting. I really want to learn more about this. So can you please guide me how I can start from which
It is only your university or your institutions can help us, because we individuals can naturally come forward for 1 hour, half an hour at Zoom or something. If you have some institution, you make it something regular, and if you think I can spare a time, and you fix the schedule, and I can make the lectures in continuity and try to solve and answer your questions.
Okay, sir. Can you please share your email ID for that in the chat box?
It's all right.
So that we can...
I will give it to Gajendra, and he will give you this.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I will
Thank
give
you
it
so
to you
much.
in charge.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any more questions? So, thank you, sir, for such an elaborative lecture that have opened our mind in really
Lot of
And
thanks.
also encouraged us to think about the problems that have remained a problem for such a long time, and we will try to solve from your encouragement, sir.
Thank you very much. Lot of thanks. Lot of thanks.
And in the end, but not least, I thank all the participants and the HRDC coordinator for your cooperation and technical support. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi, for moderate the session of Professor S.K. Kapoor. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor S.K. Kapoor, sir. Very nice and very informative talk, and so many things you have given here, presented here, and brief about our ancient knowledge system or Vedic system. Really, it is very wonderful and very interesting, sir. And we have another talk. I think it is on. Let me check, sir, where your schedule next. On 11th, we have another talk on panel format of intelligence field created by mind of organization, format of Vedic Ganit. That will be on 11th November, 3:45 to 5:15, sir.
Tomorrow is.
Yes, sir. And if any other question, because we have time around 17 minutes to 11, then participants or our colleague member, they can interact to Professor Kapoor. They can ask reasonable query, and then he will give the answer. Because it is more, it should be more interactive. That's it, sir.
Sir, I want to know, do you know the scientific explanation behind the 108 beats in a mala?
If you know Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra of a Dhruv, it has precise, to translate that, it is 108. This is one thing. Second thing is, it is a number which is taking us to the innermost fold of the Gita. If we are from 9th chapter to the 10th chapter, and when we are at the gap, then the first 9 chapters are having value 372 shlokas, and the last 9 are having 328 shlokas. Gap is 44. This 44 is a Paramviyom, the transcendental space. 64 is a unit. These are 64 chapters. So it is 4⁻3. So when the 4 space as a dimension transits and transforms into 5 space as a dimension, means when there is a transition from space to a transcendental space, that means into the space of the Lord Shiva, that is the space with 5 dimensions with triple eyes. So when 4⁻3, 64 goes into the transcendental space 44, it becomes 108. This is normally given a designation to those saints who have completed their meditation phase and stage and are capable of giving sermons or giving preachings to the followers. So 108 is in many ways very, very powerful number, and this number is the number with the help of which we can reach from the normal space to the transcendental space. When the body transforms, mind transforms. That is why the Dhruv, only at the age of 5, could go into the forest and could attain that fearless state.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, if there is no question, then we can have break and we will assemble. We will again rejoin in the session at 11:30, I think. Yes, 11:30. And another session that will be delivered by Hala. That talk extensively spoke on contribution of Mahavir in mathematics. And with this, I thanks again our moderator and thanks to our Professor S.K. Kapoor sir once again for delivering very wonderful and very interesting because this type of talks because we are the teacher and faculty it is required to know Indian heritage so that we could motivate ourselves and also able to motivate or able to give some kind of kick to our students so that they should also start working or interact each other. And we are also hoping, sir, with those lecture, this type of lecture, almost 70 lectures that will be delivered in this short-term program, and we are expecting that after 17 lecture, at least we should at least with 13 and all the speakers, our speakers, we should able to interact each other and discuss or maybe we can write some collaborative project or we can start collaborative work, research point of view, student point of view. So this is the aim for this short-term course. So we are looking forward in this direction, positive direction, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you to all the audience, our colleague and audience. And we will meet again 11:30 after tea break, sir. Short tea break, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you again, sir. Yeah. Now, Gaurav, you can close the meeting if you wish. Gaurav ji.
Record.
Whoever.